Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, I don't know. I was just going to talk too about self-soothing, because even if you're not able to get to a therapist, we have to recognize what soothes our senses, whether it's our clothes. Because when you're in uncomfortable clothes all day, or heels or something, it's a bad day if you in some uncomfortable pants, shoes, underwear.
Right.
Like,
Lord, yes. I done changed my whole style.
Everybody got over these.
Yeah, so
Panties on too tight.
for real.
I thought I gained weight.
Or even like visual clutter.
You need a clean house.
Yeah.
I feel anxious.
I can't cook if my kitchen is dirty.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I'll be like, kids, clean this up or y'all ain't eating today.
So just like we have those things that can set us off, maybe a lot of activity around us, the lighting, the temperature, the lack of the personal space. We also need to identify what does make us feel good. So, is it, again, getting outside? Is it fresh air? Is it listening to something enjoyable? Is it, a hot bath? Yeah, or even our clothes. This outfit, I'm really casual today, but it's just so soft, like the textures and the material, and so I feel like
it makes me want to like.
And so we gravitate to those things. We want to feel more of that. We want to have something in our head that's comfortable, because a lot of times we want to be cute, but what's cute ain't always comfortable.
Right.
And so we could be set off, but it's a build up. It's a build up of just interruptions from our kids when we already are feeling like overwhelmed from this day of not being able to get out of those clothes. So having something that you can taste on hand that is gonna, make you feel good, whether it's gum, mints, chocolate, sometimes flowers or perfume or things like that. We don't realize how much those things that soothe the senses can just put us in a good mood at work.
Incense.
Yep.
Or candles.
Yep. Some room spray or something like that. Because there's times when we just have to be where we have to be, and we can't change that.
Right. Clean sheets.
Oh,
yes. Sink my head into a clean pillowcase.
Yeah. So I just want I even made myself like a list of like coping skills and things that I just naturally do that I didn't even realize to me was a coping skill. So I'll pass that around too, so I don't have to read it. But just recognizing the self-healing things that you can do for yourself, like practices. Gut health is very important.
Yes.
And so whatever you can do to improve your gut health. Like I said, movement, restful sleep. If you're not sleeping well, you're not functioning well. What else? Getting in touch with, sometimes our own inner child. I don't know if you guys ever do things with your kids and you're just like, man, this takes me back. Like, I don't know why, but it really feels good, and this is kind of like feeding me. And so sometimes you have to pour into yourself, and while you're pouring into them, do things that also pour into you too. What else? Anything you guys can think of. Breath work is another, self-healing practice. Anything else? Or any other questions about anything I've mentioned?
I will say, based on experience, the last time when you had came, like I really took that into consideration and really started to pay attention to the things that honestly that make me feel better, like in a time of need, that I can't get from anyone else, whether if it's, like one thing I saw in there, you put like ripping up pieces of paper, like something so small, and you don't realize like,
oddly satisfying.
it's so satisfying. So my neighbor, so the gentleman that was here earlier, Tim, so his recent husband, Brent, and I like to do a lot of like craft and like house projects together. And he's been tearing up one of the rooms in his basement. And I remember one day, like I had a really stressful week, and he was like, asked me what I was up to today, and he told me he was doing some crafting stuff, and I was like, ooh, do you have anything to paint? Like, I don't care what it is, like, I just want to paint. Put the brush in the paint, and then just stroke after stroke, and just be in my own world. And something as simple as that is so satisfying to me, like so satisfying. And I really hope I'm thinking about that. He actually liked my paint job because there's like possibility he might have gone over it. But I mean, it's things like that, and I feel like once you start to really notice those things that give you that satisfaction, you really cling on to those coping mechanisms because they help you. They help you get through it. And they, you know, I can't tell you how many times where, like, you know, whatever the case is, I'll be like, let me take a second real quick to just do this because I know it's going to make me feel good. I know it's going to rest my mind, you know, ease my train of thought, or, you know, because for me, a lot of the times, I feel like my brain is going a mile a minute. And I've always got something going on, which I don't mind staying busy. I think it's good to keep myself busy, but sometimes
You gotta take a break.
I gotta take a break, right? And I just feel like I'm just like overstimulating my brain because I'm thinking of, oh, I gotta make sure I do this. I gotta make sure I remember to take care of this, you know, so on and so forth. And so just taking 5-10 minutes just to do something that I know is gonna calm me down, it's been such a big difference for me, like insanely big difference. So
it kind of makes you wonder how you even got away from that.
man,
Man,
or
that's
why
one
hadn't I
thing
started it
said,
sooner or something?
misreading.
I seen you put crying, like let it out. I was watching the show the other night, All American,
Oh, I've heard of that.
and his mom was crying or whatever, and she was like trying to hold it in, and she told him, she was like, didn't you tell me that crying is cleansing? You know what I mean? You gotta let it out. And then he said, what did she say? She said it was higher evolved behavior. Like you have to let that flow through you. You know what I mean? And I
it's
feel like
not
us
bad,
as moms,
too.
like we feel prideful sometimes. We don't want our kids to see us cry.
Right.
But with me having a son and he doesn't have his dad around, I feel like I have to still let him know it's okay to show your emotions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I feel like if he doesn't, he's going to be one of those men that hold him in and he's angry all the time. And I don't want him to be like that.
Right.
So
No,
it's like
very true.
bittersweet, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I'm somebody, when I cry, I can't stop. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm like,
Me too.
I'm like, I don't have time to have puffy eyes
Right.
and a headache.
I'm a ugly crier.
That's the one.
Right.
I'm a
Angry
ugly
and
crier.
stuff.
Right. I'm all stuffed up now.
I'm mad at everyone like they did.
Right. I gotta breathe out one nostril.
Lay on this side now.
Right.
One eye. So I always get one eye that like cries more.
Yeah.
So then I have like a
It's
big
so,
eye.
it's so crazy that you say that though, because now I'm like literally right now realizing this is that I remember having a conversation like with friends about like movie genres, like what type of movies I'm into, and someone had said something about, you know, comedies, romantic comedies, you know, all that stuff, and I remember the state. I've always said this too because I'm into them, but I'm not. But it's like I always tell myself like at least like to the T. I'm pretty sure I allow myself 2 to 3 movies a year of just like a good cry, like
Yeah.
like
The
a
Notebook.
good right. Thank you. You know what I mean?
Nah,
And,
see,
like-
I like watching all romance.
Right. Right.
I cry
Right.
all
It's not all the time,
Right.
but like,
But, like,
some days.
I just remember, you know, I've always said that as like, you know, a couple of times a year, like I'll watch a movie where it's just, I know it's going to be a good cry because internally somewhere I know I need it. You know, I don't need it all the time, and that's just me
Right.
personally, but
Mhm.
I don't need it all the time, but I know that I need to
Let it out.
you know, type of deal. And shoot, I think it was like before the beginning of summer, I don't remember what it was we were watching, and my husband caught me slipping, and I'm literally in bed like this, like trying to pull it in,
What did I do?
you know. But again, as funny as that looks on the outside, at the same time, like I don't want to be judged by him, you know, because I'm over here really boo-hooing in bed. And he's like, what are you sad about? Like, it's just a movie. And like, dang, like, can I not let my feelings out?
Start looking around.
Yeah.
My moment right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's over here rolling his eyes like, oh, God, do I need to get you a tissue? Yes, get me a tissue, because I'm crying a lot right now. But I do enjoy those moments when I watch those movies, because
I hate it.
it brings...
Such a Leo.
Thank you.
Could be crying over
Everybody.
Go get
All
the
right
coin.
now. All right.
All right.
That's enough of that. That's enough. That's enough of that.
It's trauma. Trauma. I was allowed to cry as a child. It does.
Don't worry, Ebony's still
Have you
working through
guys
stuff.
seen The Maid on Netflix?
I
No,
have
I
heard
heard
it.
But I haven't watched it
Not
yet.
yet.
Okay, so there's this part where her and her daughter, like, her daughter she'll cry and freak out, and she wants to hear the Salt and Pepper song. shoot
Yeah.
about it.
Oh,
Well, her mom has this broken down car, and it was like a cassette that would not stop playing. So the song was just stuck in the daughter's head. So like every time she was crying or something, it soothed her.
Oh.
So she started like just playing the cassette or whatever, and it's just like you said, the coping things. There's certain things that it's just little things that work for you that don't work for everybody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
I definitely, as a grown woman, start paying attention a lot more now. For sure, I do pay attention a lot more now.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here thinking about it now. What I seem to do now is just write. And you know how you have a habit of trying to write proper? Like, I recently noticed, like, if I just write whatever it is, even if it sounds stupid because I'm the only one reading it anyway,
Right.
just let it out, and then I'm not mad anymore, or I'm not sad anymore, or whatever it is, then I'm like, okay, now I'm done writing. Like, I'm okay. Like, what we're going to do now, you know,
That's
because
how
I didn't wrote it all down.
It's not in your head anymore.
Right.
You don't feel like you have to remember
Yeah,
it.
and so now I'm not angry or whatever that was bothering me at that time. Once I just start
Like
saying,
that
like, if
book-
someone
that
were
book
to
you
read
wrote.
it, it would sound
Yeah.
crazy, but no one's reading it, so just let it all out. And then I'm
See,
like,
I do that with remodeling things.
Oh yeah, she'll start
I
a
will,
project.
yeah, if I'm
That's
in
a
a
great
bad mood, I
meditation.
will start a project, and it's like I will remodel my entire house.
Wow.
I've redone bedrooms, and it's just like it's just extravagant.
Yeah.
It's like the whole triangle, you know, wall thing. You know, put the tape on there, pull it up,
Oh.
get all the designs.
TikTok.
Yeah, that's me. That's me when I'm in an angry or I'm a depressive
Yeah, she
mood.
does do
And I do, and it clears my mind. It's like, and it takes weeks to do. Like, I'm so slow at it,
Yeah.
but like it releases everything.
It works for you.
Yeah, it works for me, and you know, I mean, the end product is really good. Like, it's really nice. You know, it comes out really pretty and stuff, and
then you're happy looking at it.
yeah. But then
Yeah.
it was like,
And
why
then
would
there's
I
another
like?
high.
Yeah, and then it's like, why would I do this? Like, you know, like
It took a
Or,
lot of
right.
work.
yeah, like this
Or you're
took a
over here
lot
like,
of
why
work.
can I get this done in like 2 weeks instead of like 4?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Ebony and I talked about even how, like you mentioned, journaling. You know, some people feel like journaling is another task. Like, oh my gosh, what am I going to write about? I need some prompts. What am I going to, you know, then it's the handwriting. Then it's the, oh, this is a bad pen. And it's like
and
you
that's what I was saying.
said,
Like, don't think about any of that.
Yeah.
Don't think about how it looks, what you're saying, how proper. Forget
Right.
all of those rules and just
write.
say anything. Like, I
It's
keep thinking of
auto journaling.
one thought and then another thought.
Yeah.
All of it mixed together. Like,
In
who
one
cares?
sentence.
And then in a week, go back and look at what you've been thinking about, and this is how you could create goals. I keep talking about this guy. Maybe I need to cut him off. Or I keep
Right.
talking about I need to get this task done. Let me get this task done. Like, it's
Put it at the
bothering
top
me
of your
every
priority.
single day. So
Mhm.
let me get to it. So you can create goals off of,
yep.
you know.
And the same thing with your anger. So, like, I kind of jotted down that, like, listening to our anger can help motivate us. So it helps us, like, acknowledge maybe our unmet needs. So do we need more restful sleep? Do we need to feel independent? Do we need more mental stimulation or social connection or order, routine, appreciation, purpose, direction, any of those things? And shoot, maybe we just need more laughter and love and joy and support. And so whatever it is, it can help you become aware of it. Instead of being angry with yourself for being mad or judging yourself for that emotion, judging yourself for comparing yourself to somebody on social media. Why am I jealous? What do I feel like I'm missing? And then acknowledge that, express it, even if it's on paper and no one's going to see it. Become more self-aware so that you can problem solve and communicate and advocate for yourself. And it's not going to be easy, and it is a process, but the more that you accept, okay, when I feel this way, like, it seems like when I'm around this person or when I'm, you know, in this setting or when I go to, I don't know, whatever it may be, I feel this certain way. So this is a habit. What's up with this pattern? Why do I even keep putting myself in this position?
You're hyper focusing on that.
Yeah.
And then you figure it out.
Sometimes it's holidays with family.
Yeah.
It's
Time
Uncle
I'm with
Clyde.
So it's not to say avoid them, but what about?
How can you go about
Yeah.
it?
How can I set some boundaries with my family or something like that?
I have to.
Or like a significant other.
Mm-hmm.
In my case, what you were just saying about feeling more independent, that's what I'm kind of like on now. Like, I want to feel like less dependent
Less
on
codependent.
on my significant other for me to like feel
How do I
happy,
do my
if that
own
makes
thing?
sense. Yeah.
I'm the opposite. Like, I'll do it myself. Like,
I mean,
that's
I
just how
eventually
I
do
am.
it.
Like, I got that from my mom. She's
Right.
a single mom for years. So.
Right.
But it's
It's the
kind of
little things
it's
though.
took
Like when
an
you
effect
have
on me and my
it,
sister
it's,
though, because now we feel
you
like
rely on it. Like you
Yeah,
don't
but
think
we-
about it.
you
It's
know.
just an
Yeah,
automatic.
no,
You
I
know,
totally
like,
agree.
Mhm.
Yeah,
you
you gotta
can
balance
you can be
Yeah.
doing it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, type of
Have
thing.
Yeah.
to do it on your own, you can too, you know.
Yep. And so just being able to say, it's not a bad thing. Like to your partner, hey, I'm not saying because I want to be independent, I want to be alone. I'm saying that I'm not myself doing this other thing all this time or playing these positions or these roles. Like I'm having an identity crisis. How can I get back to myself?
Man.
Yeah.
That's a
That
good
is a
keyword,
good
identity
keyword.
crisis.
Yes.
Yeah. That is definitely-
So you do therapy?
So yes, but right now I'm just since I'm working at the nonprofit with kids, it's not like people can pop in and see me. But I've just kind of done a little bit of everything to see when I am like gonna establish myself where I want to be. So I've worked in private practice, and that's kind of a mixed bag. Or worked in a prison, all male prison. Worked at an agency with people who have severe and persistent mental illness. And done like skills groups, and then worked with kids with behavioral and mental health diagnoses.
See, I think Brittany.
Yeah, so
I wish she would have came.
I
but
wish
she's
we have
just
another
so
friend that's
stubborn.
actually going through.
She's going through all
all of this with
you've
her
hit
son.
every,
Her son has hyperactive ADHD,
and it
he's
just puts her in a
put her
depression.
in a bad spot. So everything you're talking about is everything she needs to hear.
Yes.
Right.
Well, tell her about that website too. That psychology.
What was that website called?
Psychology Today.
Psychology
Okay.
Today. Yeah.
Is it one word?
Mhm.
Psychology today.
Yep. .com, I believe. Let me look at my phone.
Because she went to her house therapist, she didn't like him. Which, like you said, you have to find the right one, you know.
Because you could even choose the gender and you know all that.
Right, you might
What
feel
they
better talking
specialize
to a male and thinking that you want to talk to a female, you know.
As a black woman, you might feel more comfortable talking to another black woman. You know, just little things like that. Unfortunately, that's just life. you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
So,
Right.
Okay, sorry. Somebody was sending me a message.
I think that's really important. Learning how to cope in the moment versus self-care. Because I do a lot of self-care, but coping, I just bottle it up.
So it's gonna look like this, and then if you click on those three bars in the upper left hand, find a therapist, and then it's find a therapist, treatment center, psychiatrist, support group, telehealth specifically. So if you go to find a therapist, you can type it in your zip code. What's this zip code?
6813.
so,
I think so.
Okay.
We'll just guess that.
And then it just
Oh,
starts
wow.
to show you
Other pictures.
therapists. So then you can filter through the issues, insurance, gender, if you want to, if you're particular about male, female. Let's see. Show me therapists who work with toddlers, children 6 to 10, preteen, teens, adult, ethnicity served, sexuality, language preferences, faith
I think
preferences.
it really breaks it
Wow.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it'll just kind of show you, and then on their profile, so like, let me find.
I think that makes it easier for the people who are looking for therapists too, because
Versus trying to explain it to people what they're looking
right.
for. Yeah.
Just
Right.
putting a status up, and then
Yeah.
they just get a list of like, all right, I'm resonating
But
with
they're
this
not
name.
really understanding what.
Yeah.
What
You just
you're
choosing
wanting.
any therapist. You don't know what they specialize in. You're just
Right.
like, oh, I'm gonna choose you because you're a woman. And
Sounds like a good thing.
yeah, you sound like a good person. Somebody referred me to you.
And then you can look at, like I said, their profile. It'll tell you, like her. I know this. So I used to work. So I'm working at Girls Inc. right now. I used to work at Girls Inc. with the teens, like 10 years ago, and now
That's crazy.
this teen
With
is
Desiree.
a therapist.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh my gosh.
And she's still working on her hours, but like she has a little video I'm gonna show y'all. But she just talks about, are you feeling depressed, anxious, overwhelmed by the challenges of life? Are you looking for a space to be authentically you without judgment? Are you struggling to set boundaries effectively, communicate your needs to others? It's just like she's asking all these questions. She kind of goes into who she works with, what she likes to do, and then she made a TikTok. So when I found her on here, I emailed her. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you.
Was it gonna play with the reception down there?
I turned mine off.
Hello. My name is 𝚼𝚘𝚝𝚎 and I am a mental health therapist. I work with teenagers and young adults
that's
through
nice.
life transitions, depression, anxiety, and grief. I love to use music, art therapy, drama therapy, and even role playing to reach my clients. I believe that healing is expressive, and I would love to share that with you. So call it a day.
That's cute.
Yeah.
See, again, what a blessing to have social media to be able to create
To
content
find
like
this stuff
that.
so easily.
Right.
So
And her energy just, you could just feel it through it.
Yeah. Yep. And so, so some of them do have videos, or they do just have that.
And you could
personal
see
statement.
them and you could be like, I want to talk to her.
Yeah.
Like I would, like if I had a kid, I'd be like, I'm gonna bring my child to this
Yes.
woman.
So
That's awesome.
I hope that you guys, and even your friend maybe can look on here and find someone.
We definitely gonna tell her about it because she needs it.
Yeah, I used to have my profile on here last year when I was in private practice and was just kind of like accepting. But I'm trying to determine my the population I want to work with, the specialty that I want to like narrow in on, because otherwise, you have to pretty much do so much research in all these different areas, which is a great thing because then you just have all this knowledge. But how do you become I don't want to say the master or the expert at what you do.
It's hard to be, how do you want to call it, honed in on one person's problems when you have such a knowledge of everything.
Yeah.
Because then it's hard to separate what they truly need.
Exactly. So at first I kind of was like, why does somebody want to just be in a box
Put
and say I
yourself
only
on
do
there.
this? And I was like, I kind of want to do a little bit of everything. But then I saw, I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Too much.
Maybe
Too
not.
much.
Yeah,
Pump the
it is a
brakes
lot.
real quick.
Mental health is far more needed than people think out here nowadays.
And people will try to skip the mental health and be like, well, just give me a pill and I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
it's
meditate.
like,
I'm gonna go work
Or
out.
Give
She's
me
not
a
really-
stone. And
Yeah.
just take all the energy out of me. When
It doesn't
need
work
to
that way.
work.
But it's just like you were saying, people, in most cases, I guess, because I agree with you, when you start your spirituality, then you're like, oh wait, I do need therapy, because being brought up thinking it was
here's the
thinking it
angle.
was bad.
The reason why we even collaborate is you could come to me and we don't know anything. I don't know anything about you. I have no specialized training. I'm not a therapist. We come here and I see something and I'm literally just delivering a message to you. If I find out that you were raped as a child and you've suppressed that and you start breaking down crying, I'm like, dang,
We
okay.
don't know what to do
I'm
after
just
that.
coping you as as I would maternally know how to, cope with you, but it's like, I can't create a plan for you. I can't create,
That's coping that you need every single
Yeah.
day without us.
yeah, and
that
I'm not
you
gonna
need to do
charge
on
you
your
every
own.
time you have a
Yeah.
meltdown for a session where it's like, no, you need to learn how to take your mind back and you need to learn how to heal from that so that you can level
to
up.
learn to forgive it.
Exactly,
And
and
Right.
accept
You
it.
might have lost your
Right.
children
Versus
and got
holding
them
it
back,
in.
and it's
Yeah.
like, yes, I could identify it for you, let you know what's there. Maybe we could probably even get rid of whatever that attachment or
Right.
spiritually was there. But it's like, how do you keep it off?
Exactly.
Don't keep coming in here and just wipe me
Yeah,
clean.
go back out and
Because
do
again,
those
what is
things.
Take
it?
it back
It's the Band-Aid method.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like that. And
And I think that's the beauty of what, us as Serene are trying to do is that, yes, like, our mission is to create healthy and better lifestyles, mentally and spiritually for you, but our job at the end of the day is to provide you the tools so that you can do it on your own, and you don't have to keep coming back to us, putting the Band-Aid on every time. Like, we want to be able to give you the things that you need to continue on. So I think it's great that, this idea came to be able to, again, share these tools, with other people, because like you said, that what we're living in right now is terrible, and people are having a hard time getting through it. And I wish other people, and maybe there is, and maybe we just haven't done our research enough, but I wish that there were more things like this offered because it's so heavily needed, like so heavily
Well,
needed.
and that's a lot of it is people are more in it for money nowadays. So, oh, come get this and you
You have
just
to
but
learn
pay
it.
$50
Yeah.
or pay
Let me
$60.
pray on you and tell you what's wrong
Yeah,
with you, but not help you.
But, you know,
Right.
yeah, you
I
know.
can't spend $50 a month, coming to these, these
And
things
nothing's
all the
being
time.
resolved.
Right.
And, you know, honestly, coming in for a spiritual session, once you have worked so hard on yourself, you can actually come in happy and
Yeah.
upgrade
Right.
And it
And
not
be
be a
able to
problem.
listen,
Right.
and
Yeah.
grow and upgrade instead of having to get attachments pulled off you,
All
having to
the
get
time.
cords cut, having to work through all this because you've been working on it already.
Right.
So it makes it even better when you do go to that spiritual side. You're actually just upgrading and feeling peace and feeling happiness
And closer.
for
to
once,
God.
finally, at a very very constant
Yeah,
state
it keeps
instead
you
of
on
up
your
and
high
down.
versus having
Right.
to recharge.
Yes,
that.
versus
Right.
always having to recharge. You actually have been working on yourself, so you are charged, and you just get more charged and more charged, and it just
So you're
becomes
just an energizer
to where you
bunny.
learn
And you're
inner
just good to
peace.
go.
Inner peace
Right
is
in the
real,
lane.
and you can find it. So,
Man.
But yeah, you guys
Well, I mean-
definitely, after my Reiki, my relationship with God is way better than what it was, because I feel like I was on pause for a while, because I grew up and going to church and stuff. But
What's wrong with that?
Once I got to teenage years, and it was just like a
Got
blur.
real distant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they're so judgy and
Yeah.
they're judgy sometimes. Like some of the churches I've been in, I'm like, I could even like the pastor, but then it's just the crowd.
The
Yeah.
people,
And it's just like, I could feel, like, I didn't know that I was feeling that.
Feel
It's
like
just
they're
like,
in church, but then tomorrow they're gonna see you and be like, I remember
Yeah.
this.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
type of
Yeah.
Or you're walking in here and you have kids and where's your man, where's your
Yeah.
husband at? You're
Yeah.
supposed to have a husband with your kids. And it's like, I'm trying to bring my kids to church
yeah.
so they could feel Jesus and God.
Right.
But y'all are staring at us like, are you still married? Or are you,
Yeah, and it's
like,
it's about the individual relationship with God and Jesus and that whoever the angels, all that stuff. Because we're all hypocrites and we
Yeah.
all will judge each other for our own
no matter
discernment.
what.
Judge ourselves.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because we're judging ourselves. That's why we're judging other people. It's all deflection usually. But yeah, that individual relationship with God is
Essential.
it will help you mentally also.
Mhm.
Just having that faith, that does help. That helps me, that's all I can say. But everyone has their own coping mechanisms. So, yeah, the spiritual side, finding the light and getting out of that darkness is also a coping mechanism. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And an imbalance of the mind, the heart, or the spirit, and the gut is going to impact all those organs.
Yeah, right before my Reiki, I was having horrible digestion issues, and I didn't realize.
Bottled up emotions.
Yep, it was just me.
It's
holding
like
on
acid
and-
in your stomach.
Yep.
And I didn't know that until it permanently burnt my throat. So it's like now I got a cough during COVID, and I'm like, no, it's my stomach acid. I got a
I'm just going through
stomach
some
acid
shit.
cough.
Just going through some
Yeah.
stuff. Like that's it.
But
That's
bottled
how
up
I felt today. I was like, I
emotions.
hope I don't cough in here.
But you literally, I ain't got COVID. I
I was like, I
got
took a negative test, but I didn't get it.
The sound bowls had my throat dry.
Like, all right, you settle down now.
Like, explain your cough.
Right. It's like here's my paper, here's my card. It's almost like when you get in a car accident, like here.
Yeah. Here's my
My
information. That's so funny.
No, but I feel like I didn't know how people were gonna feel about coming in here like, oh, I'm gonna learn how to really just be a psychic person and just do this and do that. I'm like, I mean, yeah, but it's all in the mind. Like it really is. Like you really can't reach any level you really want to, but how can you if you don't have control of your mind? These attachments are mainly emotions. When you do have an attachment, the way they even attach and they manipulate you, it's all emotions, and then even those emotions again goes through the body. The stomach acid, that was bottled up emotions. You could have an ache in your knee. We have a book that literally any ache that you have on your body or any major injury, it's like it literally correlates with something spiritual, and it's kind of crazy. Like, dang, I didn't have this little, I didn't hit this pinky toe on my, right side, and then look in the book and it's like, wow,
Right.
So it's like literally everything is connected. So,
And the power of the mind is obviously, your mind is the most powerful thing, really. because you can imagine anything you want to imagine, and everything that we are seeing, it is filterating into our minds. And that's why knowledge is so important, and knowing, you know, what works for you, what doesn't work for you is so important. But once you can start imagining that spiritual side of yourself, it can help, because it's a way you can calm yourself down. It's a way you can ask for protection, for healing, just by imagining a simple light being around you. And, you know, as we're kids, we do it all the time as children. We have this imagination, and then as we get older, it seems like, you know,
You're
the way
being
the
told
world
it's
works.
immature.
Yeah, we're being told to not use our imagination. So then when we're adults, we just work for society, and we don't even use our imagination.
And you're serious,
You know,
because that's mature.
and all those plans you have, all those creations you could make and do, it's part of your, what you might be part of your soul mission, what you're here for, you know. But yeah, one of the things that we really like to tell people is how to imagine a protection shield around you, around your family, and around your home, which is simply, you know, a blue light. Just close your eyes, imagine a blue light around you, imagine around your children, around your husbands, around your sisters, your family, your friends. Anytime you feel that anxiousness, because you also can feel anxiousness when you feel unsafe, when you feel like, oh, I've been through this before, I know how it can go. You can feel that anxiousness, which give you social anxiety, which could make you, you know, shut yourself down, not really speak yourself, not express yourself, not really let out those feelings that you want to share and express, and be happy and just be yourself. So, yeah, asking for protection is something spiritually that you can do to cope whenever you feel that anxiousness coming, that anger coming. Asking to just, like, you know, let that blue light just fill you up and around you, and feel that you'll feel it. And then also with the green light, you can ask for healing. So a green light energy has to do with your heart, and through the heart there is inner healing. With your heart, that is how you heal everything. You have to open your heart in order to heal. You cannot heal without an open heart. So just think of that color green, and then you're going to imagine the same light around you, and imagine it around your kids whenever they're sick. You can literally, like, imagine it just coming out of your hands and putting it on their body, putting it on your body. If you hug someone, a coworker, you just want to give them a little love, you can imagine that light coming out of your hands. You know, the things we can do are not just physical, they are spiritual. So, you know, just open that imagination up. There's no pressure to, like, see all this crazy shit or anything like that. But that's just kind of a start that I did want to put out there to you ladies before you headed out, is to try to imagine those lights, because that's what me and Tina do, and Ashley also, and it's part of the spirituality aspect of it too.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds kind of, especially if you've never done it before, it sounds in your head it might sound kind of like silly or crazy, you know, but at the end of the day it's like, what do you have to lose to try it, right? Like you have no idea what's going to come out of it unless you do it, you know what I mean, and try it. And then I think that's when your mind really taps into it. I mean, and I'm not going to get too far because I'll get lost, but that's where, like, the science, you know, with how your brain works goes, where now because you've felt it and you have noticed the good that comes out of it, you know, how it makes you feel, how it makes everyone else feel. Of course, you're going to want it to continue to keep doing that all the time, because from your experiences, it has worked for me, you know, for you or for your kids or for your family. So I think, you know, definitely it work more on tapping into that imagination. Cause I definitely before thought, like, I do it and I'd be like, this is so silly. And I do it all the time, all the time. The moment something will pop up, like the very first image, and if I'm at home, I should say, the very first image that always pops in my head is I can see my home from the outside of my house from a distance, and I literally can see a bubble just forming over my whole entire house, and it's just bright. And every single time when I think about that, if like we're out, my boys play football, you know, and I know there's like bad attitudes or whatever, like I see my kid running on the field, and I'm just like slowly putting this bubble around my kid, like, all right, God, like, let me put this protection shield over my kid real quick. But again, I do it so often now that, you know, like it truly does something you know, for me, but also too, I've seen it in my children. I've seen it.
It makes you safer.
It does.
I do the water thing, like you said, blue. Like I'll think of the ocean just like a big old wave coming through. Because my friend told me this one time I was having an anxiety attack, Rosie, and then she said like the protection thing. She said trees, just like think about a lot of trees shading you in. You know, I guess that's the green.
Like imagery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
worked
worked.
out the good technical terms.
No,
It's
it's like what we call it. It's funny that everything like works
It
together.
literally
is.
Because
Yeah, no, it
we'll
does.
say imagery or like grounding or whatever, and spiritually it's
Vibrations, energy.
My son will go out and walk on the ground with his bare feet.
And the sensory of
All
it.
these years, I'm like, put shoes on. Now
Yeah,
I'm like,
like,
take your shoes off. Take your shoes off. Feel that ground. Feel that dirt.
Get
Slide
that
your toes in it. Right.
that hand foot mouth.
Right. Wash your hands now. It's COVID season.
Oh my gosh. No, but I have some kind of like pointers that I've noticed on my kids. So my kids like to fall asleep watching TV or listening to music.
Like they have to.
Yeah, I had to stop them from doing that. Like, I'll have to tell you this, like, freakish story. So, I'm doing my daughter's hair. Nobody else is awake. She's up. I'm like, let's go ahead and do this. I wash her hair. We go into the living room. I'm about to blow dry it and stuff like that. It's a couple weeks ago, so I'm like, okay, let's watch Hocus Pocus. You know, this is a classic, you know? And she never seen it, so I'm like, girl... you about to see Hocus Pocus. It's going to be, you know, one of your favorite Halloween movies, too. And so she turns it on, blow drying her hair. So I'm like, okay, you know, since you've never seen this before, pause it real quick. It was literally like 10 seconds I played in there, right? And so I'm blow drying her hair, and then I'm like, I'm me. So I start talking about, you know, spirituality and stuff, and start seeing where her mind is and stuff, and kind of low-key doing some Reiki on her, asking her higher self if I'm permitted and stuff. And, you know, just kind of gauging where she is. And my stepson comes upstairs, and then he sits down, and we're just all talking, and then randomly he's like, you know, he has a That's So Raven moment. And he just pauses. He's like, I just destroyed a book. And I'm like, okay, good. And then we're just talking. And then something was like, ask him what book that was. And I'm like, well, what book was it? He's like, it looked like a witchy book. He was like, it had writing and stuff all over it. In the first couple seconds of Hocus Pocus, it shows the book. But Talia, she's never seen the movie before. So she was like, yeah, when she mentioned it, she was like, oh, it looks like there's a bunch of like zodiac signs on whatever that is. But I'm just, you know, doing her hair, so whatever. And so I'm like, he's never seen it either, mind you.
And
so
he was downstairs the whole entire time.
he didn't know we were watching Hocus Pocus, and that book poured into my house. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to restart this. And I'm going to play it, and if that is the book that you've seen in your head, that just popped up in your head, let me know. So I play it, and I kid you not, the hairs on his arms stood up.
Oh my goodness.
He was like, that's the book, that's the book, that's the book. Like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, and I'm like,
Turn the shit off.
yeah, where's the salt?
Where's the salt? Hurry up.
Just that realization to my daughter, because, you know, our kids they're in their iPads, they're seeing all this stuff that kind of like challenges what their reality is. I feel like it's like, you know, they eat, what was that little laundry thing they were eating? It's like it's almost like they can't die or something. I don't know. But they just do stuff, and I just feel like they have like a weird sense of reality and what's serious, what's not. And so I feel like
influences.
yeah, and they're just too open,
Without
but like they're
realizing
closed
it
at the
breaks.
same time, and they're conscious and they're not.
There's a lot going on for
Yeah,
us.
I'm just like, you
A
know,
whole
what do you
lot.
believe in? So with my daughter, I'm like, she's one of those that's disconnected from God because, you know, a lot of our kids are based off of what, you know, society's been. And our generation, we stopped going to church. We stopped, like, who goes to church here?
None of us.
We go to brunch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody goes to church
I have my
anymore.
own congregation.
So we don't go to church, so they really don't go to church. And then when you bring them to church, oh, they're really judgmental. That's why we don't go, you know? And so they're getting further and further. Not saying that church is the way. Not saying that at all. It's just they're disconnected from God, period.
Right. They don't
And
have
so having that realization hit her because she knew that he didn't see it, I'm like, girl, this shit real. She was like, okay, I'm listening now. I'm like, I bet you are.
intrigued now.
Right.
You know, 'cause she was like, you know, and then he was kind of explaining his session. He was like, I was seeing things in my head, and she was telling me what I was seeing in my head. So this is real. I'm like, girl, yeah, this is. You know, you think I'm just doing this for fun? Like, you
Right.
think I like coming home, like, and just seeing things and throwing it
That's
out?
another
Like, this
thing,
stuff
like
is real.
healing, people think it's just like sunshine and
It
rainbows.
ain't.
It's not.
It's
No.
ugly.
And then it's like,
healing
You
is
go
what
through
we
this
do.
crisis of like, dang, I can't watch Hocus Pocus.
Right,
Like,
right, 'cause-
I've been watching this for years, and it's been pouring in my house
Right.
for years. What else can I not watch? I'm like, and this was 1997 or 1992, whatever. They came out with have y'all seen Sabrina?
Yeah.
The new one?
I
Like, I'm
watched it.
scared.
I heard about
I'm
it.
scared about what's
I
poured in my
haven't
house just
watched
watching that.
It's everything is the opposite. So anti, you know. Yeah.
Like she literally like mimicked Jesus in there, and like it was okay on TV. And you know, again, I'm not trying to like
Throw that
everybody,
on
you know, but it's just like it's just so in your face, and
Yeah.
it just makes the kids not believe in anything because everything is a joke, everything is entertainment, nothing is real. So she saw something that was real that she could, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I just saw her mind just kind of like, okay, maybe I should pay attention to what I'm watching,
Yeah.
what I'm listening to. When mom is telling me to not listen to this music when I'm going to sleep, or not watch this, or not watch this TikTok, because it literally pours. That thing played for 10 seconds. Kid you not, 10 seconds. And it showed the book within 10 seconds. And it poured into my house just like that. And I'm just like, you know, and then we wonder why our kids are angry or why they're emotional. And it's like, well, what poured into them? And anything could have poured into them anywhere, from anything, anyone. So it's kind of like, you know, how can we help them if we're poured into ourselves? So it's like, okay, we got to fix ourselves to help them and stay on top of them. And what are you looking at? What are you watching? What are you doing? Get off of there. I need to get off of mine. I'm going to get off mine. You get off yours. We just going to have a family day and cleanse.
Just ultimately find that balance.
Yeah,
And you're not gonna find it, you know, right off the bat. I mean, that's where you put the work in, right? When you create those goals,
routine.
you know, you create a routine for yourself. You know, you make sure to check in as often as you can with yourself, you know, type of deal. And then you're easily able to balance that and be able to check on your kids now. You know, be able
Bring
to
them
have
back.
conversations with your significant
They're
others.
disconnected.
You know, whatever.
Our kids are disconnected from God.
Right. So whatever church used to be for us, how do we like help them
Help them,
recharge
yeah.
and reset, and like whatever we felt like we needed back then? How do we make sure our kids get that?
Yeah, and like if it doesn't have to be a church, you don't have to go looking for a church. Like
And
I need to
that's
get
the
them
thing
in.
about God and Jesus is that you can do it in anywhere,
Right
You
here.
don't, you don't need a
place.
church to do it.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
don't need the church,
You
and
don't need
that's
the
what
church.
you know
Yeah.
the stigma.
But
that,
we don't talk about it.
Right.
Like I haven't talked about like spirituality or anything with my kids.
because we're battling our own way, like you said, to find God. So how can we talk about it with our children when we don't know? You know. So that's
we
why I
left.
think it is important to try to know, try to figure it out. You know, and how whatever you end up with, that's what you're meant to.
What's
end
gonna
up
work
with,
for
but
you, but it's like at least you're
At
starting
least
somewhere.
try, yeah.
Start somewhere because they are literally disconnected, and that's the problem. And then like they don't even know when they're going through their hardships. They don't even call on anybody. You know, they don't call on God for help or you know call on Jesus. You know, whatever. They don't believe in anything. And that's scary to not believe in anything. So if you're going through a hard time and you just think, I just got to go through the hard time, you know.
Alone, and you know, I gotta, you know, I'm strong, I'm this, I'm that. You know, the ego also needs to be balanced. And
Yeah.
so, you know, that's where God comes in when you know. You ain't the best. You'll never, you know,
Right.
in life, you'll never be just the best.
Well, what kills me is people that, you know, and I don't feel like they don't necessarily believe. It's just probably because they haven't been shown the right way. But, you know, the people that say they don't believe, but then they're like, I'm going to pray. Like,
Who you
that's
going
right, exactly.
to? Empty space.
Mm-hmm.
Who's on the phone?
Right.
Right.
And some people don't know how.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of it. Like, they just
Well,
don't.
some people have that stigma of you have to do it. You get down on your hands and knees and you pray
Yeah.
this way
And you
or
don't
something.
have to.
And you don't have to do that. Literally, you can just talk.
It's a conversation.
But
You
again,
know,
for kids, what is it? The influencers
Yeah.
who show these things like this is how you should do. Lay your salt around, light forward,
Yeah.
candles. It's like no,
Yeah.
like literally sit on,
You can be
just
on the
sit in a
game
room and
playing
just
Minecraft. Hey, God. You
right,
know,
right,
like, hey,
right.
it's just as
You
long
can
as
talk to him
you're-
whenever you want.
There is no, you
And
don't
I
need
think-
a person to do it.
Right. And also too, I think, you know, it by having those, I guess us being prepared and finding that balance to be prepared for like when our kids are ready to have that conversation where they're asking those questions too. You know what I mean? Like if anybody's gonna influence my kids, I'm really hoping it's gonna be me
Right.
and not social media, not TikTok, not Facebook. Like I want to make sure that I'm giving them the information that they need and that they seek for. Do I wish and hope that they follow the same way that I do? Absolutely. But I also want to be prepared if my kids have questions, because I don't want them searching for all that stuff, because
they have to
God
filter.
knows what they're gonna find.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially these
days.
Yes.
These days, they literally purposely mix
Do stuff-
everything up
just because
in there because they want them to not be anything. Like they want them to believe in nothing. They don't even want them to believe in themselves.
Right.
They don't want them to even feel themselves anymore. You don't want them to feel anything. You don't want them to think anything. You don't want them to have their own personal opinion,
They want
because
us to be
this is the flagship opinion, and everybody has to like
Yeah,
this.
it's like it's this or that. You know, on this side or this
There
side.
is
Right.
no
That's
some
it.
gray
Yeah.
area or whatever, when truly everything's a gray area.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, nobody truly made anything because they thought about it,
Right.
they seen it.
And then they
You
rode
know.
the wave, and then it just got
Yeah,
bigger
and then next
bigger.
thing you know, you have books that's like, hey, you gotta do this, and that, and it's like, that's not the only way.
Right.
And that's what kids, they can't differentiate that.
Yeah, and a lot of life is like pick a side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pick a side,
Yeah.
you know,
It really
pick
is.
a side,
Everybody
this
wants to
side,
be in.
okay, you know, yeah.
They want to be in,
Really?
even if they don't
Yeah.
agree with
Yeah, and
it.
if you pick the wrong side, you're not cool anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you're you're racist,
Yeah,
or
or you
you're
did
homophobic,
this,
or you're
Right.
just
Like,
if
dang,
you
I
pick
feel
a
like
side, yeah,
There's a
you gotta
little-
pick
yeah.
a side on everything.
And they just don't want to be outcasted.
No.
Or they don't question anything anymore. Like you just go off of something.
The first thing they see
Yeah,
that,
and-
oh, did you know this is
Yeah,
that?
they don't question it at all, and it's like my kids are young, so
You have
it's
time.
funny that I'm learning from them,
Mhm.
but I still have to have them learn from me at the same time. I guess if that makes sense.
But it's
Yeah.
like you're relearning from them,
Yeah,
because
because-
it brings it back up, and it's
Yeah,
like, that's not
'cause
how
I have
would
one
do it.
Right.
that-
It's so different now.
Yeah,
I have one kid that questions everything, and then I have another kid that used to question everything, but now he just kind of like listens to whatever like the teacher says or
Mhm.
whatever, in
without
this case, and
formal
I'm like,
opinion.
and then the one that questions everything, he comes to me and he's looking at me for all the answers, and I'm like, sometimes I catch myself like, I don't know, go.
Right.
then
Yeah,
I have to,
yeah, like you don't
I have to
right.
bring myself back, and I'm like, okay, wait, don't go ask the teacher. You're coming to me. Wait
Right.
a second, like,
Right.
be-
I gotta catch
think
myself
about-
at that
yeah.
too.
Mhm.
They'll ask me,
too.
like, you got a phone?
Oh, my number one thing is ask Google, and I'll be like, no, don't ask.
Never.
That was just
Hold on.
playing.
Let me ask Google when I get back
Right,
to
right,
it.
you do the
I can
answer.
handle this.
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
I agree.
And it's forcing you to have to learn more on your own, so then you can go back to
Right.
them and pour into them, because
Right.
now you're like, in my head, I'm speaking for myself, I guess. In my head, I'm like, oh my god, I feel so dumb because wait a minute, hold on, I know this. Let
Right.
me like
Yeah,
come
but
back
then he's
to
like, I
this.
gotta verify it.
Yeah.
Also, too, though, like what
Sure.
you said, though, like relearning, like I think those are such beautiful moments with my kids where I do sometimes, like, they'll teach me something, or help me see something in a different perspective that I don't see because I don't have that childlike mind. I'm all adult focused, whatever. And so it's nice to kind of, I love the fact that, so my oldest, he'll be 10 in January, and my youngest, he'll be 8 next month. And I love the fact that we're at a stage now where, like, I can have, like, in-depth conversations with my kids, because they're my oldest one is at that maturity level now, and I love just sitting down and,
Seeing where he's at.
seeing where he's at. But then also too, he kind of gets to see like where I'm at,
Right.
too, because there's a lot of healing I know I get from my kids for sure, and sometimes I don't realize it, And I just love that. I really enjoy the fact right now of just having those conversations with my kids, because when they're at that age, their minds aren't really there yet. And my older one's at that, he's very curious. He asks a lot of questions and stuff, and
Lord of mercy.
some of them are good questions, and some of them are like, whoa, come back to me, tenders. Like,
Well, the thing is, he's very honest.
yes, he is.
Most kids at that age are honest.
Yes.
So whether you didn't like the question or
Right.
not, they asked you, and now
Right.
you gotta find the answer for it.
Right.
So that's
Because
like
he's
the
gonna
great
look
thing.
for it now.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like,
He's
why
gonna
am I
look
and
for
I
it.
know.
No,
Right.
I
And
know
that's
there's an
what-
answer to
Well,
this
and
question.
like, so perfect example. So right now, I'm kind of in a gray area, if you say. So my son, my oldest son, loves to read books, and I mean, he'll get through like a like a 22 chapter book in like a day and a half. I mean, he blows through them. And so now, being in 4th grade,
And he's
he
only
found
in 4th
out,
grade.
right, he
That's
found
how-
out at the school library, they have a young adult section.
But
Right, but no, kids can only check out from that section when parents have approved it and signed it, you know? So it's like, I'm over here trying to, like, in my head, prepare myself
Think of
on
what-
this
think
conversation
of
to have with my son, like, I think that you have that maturity level, but I want you to be aware of what type of mature content could possibly be in these books that
And
you
how to
find,
interpret
and
it.
how to interpret it and stuff like that. So it's
versus being that goofy like
right. But again, you know, that was something that I recently learned from my son. I didn't know he was at that point yet. Like I just thought he was all about the voyage, fantasy, you know, whatever, and having a deep conversation. Like I found out that my son really loves reading these, like, they're like these history science fiction books. So they'll take actual, like, historical events, and the story that they create is they place these kids in this scenario, and the book describes how it was for these kids going through this stuff. Man, Derek has read all of these books, so you know, I'm trying to find, you know, things that are very similar to that. You know, he my best friend, her daughter is really big in, like, the Percy Jackson books where it's like Greek mythology, and so
that's my son. Right
yeah, and so, you know, we decided that we're gonna do, like, a book swap, because she's older, she's in the 6th grade, but Derek has the same reading level as her, so it's like, maybe you guys can, you know, just trying to explore, but it's
And
just
just
cool to see,
expand
like,
your
what
eyes.
he's into right now, you know, and then it makes me wanna, you know, being a parent, I want to make sure that what he's reading, like, I'm fully aware, so I'm over here, like, quick reading these books, you know, like, hold on, let me make sure I know what you're reading
Let me
about.
Google
so.
this real quick.
Right.
Cliff notes.
Yeah.
Right. Serene,
My son, he does that too. He's real big on the Percy Jackson, and he'll come home every day like, "What's your favorite god? What's your favorite goddess?" And I'm like, "Oh, I know like 2."
Right.
You know, like, or
I gotta
like
brush
I
up
know
on
the
my
names, but I don't know
knowledge.
what they
Yeah.
do. You know, and it kind of, some of us as parents, you know, forget that kids are kids. So when they ask
Yes.
why, it's sometimes it's that just, well, why are you asking me why? Like, don't ask me why, you know, type of thing. But it's like, no, they generally
Right.
sometimes
Curious.
they're curious
Right.
as to what made you say that, or
Right.
what made you go along this
Where
line.
did this come from? What
Yeah, you know,
influenced
because
you?
before, like, I'm not, this is a first for me, you know, where I'm not used to this and stuff, and I've done that with my son a lot, is he's very curious about things and having to remember that, you know, they're not that 7-8-year-old anymore. Like, we, all 3 of us
We have
teenagers.
They're gonna remember
you
what
know,
you say to them.
Yes.
Oh, my
and
son,
so,
Yeah.
he's like, he was watching me get ready the other day. He's like, I watched you grow up, which he really did because I had him young. So it's like, and I had to think about it. I'm like, you're right. Like, you've seen
That's
me.
deep.
And that's some deep.
It
My
is.
whole evolution.
Yeah.
My whole evolution.
yeah, like, you're not angry no more.
It just made me
like,
I
you
look at
know,
my kid like, am I doing good?
Right.
Am I alright? Am I on track?
They are watching us grow.
Yeah, they are.
They're
I
watching
mean,
us through every season and every heartbreak, every family
And I
loss.
mean, if you think about it, it's the same way.
With
for-
our
if
parents,
we're
how we're
watching
looking at
them,
our
though,
parents
grow
and,
up
like-
too, and we're watching our parents grow. Now we have it from both sides,
Yeah.
and it's like, my dad said, you know, you gotta do it this way, or, you know, when I did this, I did that, and it's like, you look at your own kid, and it's like, but do I want to
does-
do it that
right,
way?
it doesn't work
You
that
know, or
way
is
anymore.
it? But is it working for them,
Right.
or do I need to talk to them more of
Steve, I
like
go ask my kids that.
Yeah.
Right.
Dang,
You know, like,
y'all watch me grow.
Because I see, you know, I see my son as it's just me and him.
Yeah.
You know, so we're on that friend level, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you got to be a parent
Absolutely.
at the
Yeah.
same time, and it's like, you know, you look at him in some of the conversations, you're like, dang, like I didn't know you was that deep.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Where did you get
Really?
so
yeah,
smart?
like, I know, like, dang, like, you know, kind of time, like, I feel that, like, I get it, and it's like, hey, why
Yeah, but you still got to do the dishes.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
like, I still need you to do this. So I don't understand, but I get where you're coming from.
He's like, I'm sore. I was working out at school. I'm like, oh, maybe you should do the dishes like
you know,
before they pile up.
that's what I be trying to tell my son all the time.
Bring
If you go to
reasoning
sleep, if you go to sleep, you wouldn't be sleepy.
Right.
So, you know, like, it's kind of those things, but you just
Gotta
And
make
it's
better
easy to
choices.
have empathy and compassion for your parents too. Now that we're parents.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
you
all
see
the
things
time.
totally different
Yeah.
I tell my dad I'm sorry at least once a week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But like back to like controlling anger and stuff, back before my son was, he used to keep me on my toes, let's just say, and I used to always yell. When he got older, he'd shut down, he wouldn't want to talk.
Yeah.
And I was like, you need to stop yelling at him. And that's all it took is quit getting so angry and just breathe and then talk to him. And now me and him are like this, like he's a little bit too
Extra.
How old was he when you stopped yelling? Because that's where I am right now, and they're slowly starting to talk to me. But then it's like I'll have a flare, and they're like,
10, 11.
scurry
That
back
pre-
into their hole.
That
She's not
preteen
even-
age is where like
Okay, that's where
But
I
it was
am.
like
I wanna
the
say,
yelling
like,
was
about
not
10.
working.
Yeah,
I
like my
really
son will
did put my hands on
hyperventilate
him,
just
so that
telling me a
wasn't
problem.
an
Like, boy,
option.
I am not beating you with
See,
a
my
whip.
son won't
Like,
talk.
oh
He
my
won't
God.
talk at all. Like he'll like if you like what's going on. Like I'm not understanding.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
you go off on him, he'll just sit there.
Yeah, I
And
don't
it's
know.
like,
I don't know.
I don't know how else to get you to understand
Yeah.
about certain things, but it's like at the same time you have to feel it yourself. You have to see it yourself.
Like
to
you said, they feel
understand
your
it.
energy. So if your energy's
They just read you for
Yeah.
so long that
And
they
then
just
they'll
tell.
come to you.
They'd
You
be like, ooh,
know.
mom's on one.
Yep.
It's
Don't
like
enter
what are
that
the
circle.
options?
Yeah.
If I talk back, I'm in trouble. If I walk away, I'm in trouble.
Right.
If I sit here and look
Can't do
goofy,
nothing.
I'm in trouble.
These
Oh,
poor
We have a
babies.
real life
crisis right
I don't know
now.
what you want from me.
I feel like
That
an
is-
asshole now.
And it's so
That's
bad
true though. Like that's the real truth to it.
And
Because
that's
I
the
mean,
problem.
it is like that. So
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to, one, I'm glad to know that I'm not the only mom that's going through something like this, first of all. But, to be able to share, like, what were, you said, like, after
You just
a while,
stopped yelling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, what
So even
works
when you were
for-
angry, you just didn't yell.
yeah.
It was.
I would have to. It would take.
It had to be like I
Yeah.
have to walk
I'd
away
come
for
back
a moment
and
and
then-
I'll come back.
I
See,
would approach it.
I feel like what I've been working through, because I have the same, issue where, like, I'll yell, and so what I've caught myself doing now is that if I get to that point where I'm yelling, I'll step away, have a
Mhm.
break, and I'll come back and I'll
This is why
re-explain
I'm
myself.
mad.
Like, I want you to fully understand, like, why I'm angry, and put it in a scenario to where they can understand it as a child. And that's a really big battle that I'm going through right now with my husband, because my husband hasn't figured that out yet.
He just
Because he's a
he
man.
just lets stuff.
Yeah.
He's just
It's
Yeah.
he like goes in on the kids,
Oh,
and I
that's
get
extra
and I
hard.
get
That's
that,
her. She's
yeah,
sergeant.
and I get that, but it's like, with the things I'm trying to cope and figure out is now that I'm trying to fix, not fix the relationship with my kids, but have a better, make it better.
Yeah.
This is also what I'm working on with my husband is, like, I get that you grew up that way, you raise your
But
kids
there's
that way,
a
I said,
different
but
option.
there's a different option, and if you just talk, if we just talk to them, then of course that's when he thinks it's like, that's when I'm on my hippie flower child shit. And it's like, but, like, and for him, it takes him a while, like 3 weeks, so like think back on it,
You're
and
like,
be
you
like,
was
you were right.
you had a point
Right.
there.
Or he won't,
2029.
or he won't-
All right,
or he
you
won't-
right.
or he won't say that, and he'll be like, like I sat down and talked to the boys, and I'm like,
Yeah, but they don't want to admit that they did it for
How'd
you
that go
because
for
you
you?
said it.
Right. and he'd be like, it was a great conversation, I got to know this, that, and the other, blah, 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 and I'm like, do you think this might be something that you might continue to do? Like, do you feel like it was helpful? You're like, here's my therapy session for my husband. Like, it seems to be working for you. Like, I think you should keep doing it. Like, I think it's really, you really
Right. You
figure
do it
something
one day
out.
and then
You
you
have to
relax.
make
Right.
make them think it's their idea
Right.
before they want to do it. I do it with my son all the time.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where if I'm yelling, because he has a terrible time cleaning his room. He's very lazy, and it's
You have to literally shut everything off.
Mhm.
person
Turn the
in
lights
me.
off.
Yeah, it's literally like the person in me is like, how can you not be like this?
Yeah.
Why would you want to live
Live
in
in
filth,
Yeah.
and all this other stuff? But to a kid, it's like,
This is
I got more shit to do.
Yeah.
I got better shit to do.
I got other things.
like,
I'm missing out on something
yeah,
else.
like I'm not missing anything on the floor.
Yeah.
I'll find it eventually,
Yeah.
or stuff like that. And it's like,
And it stinks.
by the time I go in there and
Boys.
clean it, I'm lashing out. Like I will literally
'Cause
pull
you're
out
pissed
and
at
I'm
that
going
point.
off.
Oh yeah,
Like
she goes.
I am going off, and he's just looking at me like I don't know what.
And then when something is
Right.
wrong, because he's
I
gonna
don't
say
know what to
anything
do.
wrong.
Yeah,
Nothing he
I don't
says
say
is gonna be right
anything.
anyway.
Right.
And then it's like afterwards, I have to go back and I'm like, I'm sorry, you know, like
I lashed
yeah,
out.
I'm sorry,
yeah.
but you have to understand why I got to this point.
Right,
I've been telling you
exactly.
for months, you know, pick this up, clean your room every day, do this and that. So now that I'm going in there because that's what you expect me to do,
Right.
now I'm about to tee off on you because like, I gotta clean it up.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and even though I
Right.
don't want to clean it up, I know if I make you clean it up, it's
You're
gonna
never
take
gonna
another
do
couple days.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff, and it's saying that.
So it doesn't get
apology-
easier, huh?
No.
No.
Yeah, that's that moment.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
with
get.
boys.
It doesn't get
Especially now with
easier.
boys.
We find better ways
Ways
to
to, that's what I was gonna
to
say.
deal with it or
Yep.
to cope
And that's
with
what
it.
I've started
You know what I
to
mean?
do.
Mine
You
is the
find different-
opposite.
you
My
can find
boys
different
are
avenues.
perfect.
Oh, it's the girls.
Angels. My son is like militant
I'm
about
scared
keeping.
of girls.
But the girls, I'm like, I know that ain't you I'm smelling right now. I am in the kitchen and your
Yeah.
room is over here and I could smell you from here.
Yeah.
I could be in this room, they could be in the bathroom and I could smell it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
bruh,
my son.
Yeah.
That's
I'm like,
him. And he'll like,
did you shower this week?
Yeah, and their answer is yes.
No, ain't no way.
No,
I would
mine
be
is-
by the door listening like, I didn't hear that shower.
That's me.
I don't hear
I
water.
don't hear
Listen,
that water to bring
I don't hear the pumps.
You don't hear the
Nothing.
change in water.
Yeah.
You know, where it's hitting the ground because you're
Yeah, right. And I'm like looking under the door to make sure I see feet.
You looking for
that
wet
is-
foot. You're like
That's the
feeling
only
for wet
one.
Let me
footprints,
touch
like,
that
on the
wash
floor.
rag.
You're looking
Like,
for towels and see the
Yeah.
towels wet because
is it,
it's
how
dry.
damp is
Yes.
this towel?
Right.
Oh my
Let me
God.
see your hair real quick.
Right.
Oh my!
I see
that is
precipitation.
so
All right.
Right.
Okay, so let me give you a tip then, because I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, let me smell your
Okay.
armpits. All
So,
right.
kids have their favorite word is yes, because they don't want you
Pissed.
they don't want you mad, or they don't want you to be like, well,
And they don't want to deal with a
they don't wanna
confrontation.
have
They don't
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
But
they
they're
don't
just
want to
like
have they don't want to
immediately.
have to go back and do it.
Okay.
That was
And
like
so
the other day.
my son is he's this way all the time, and it's like you're 13 now. Like, but then it made me think, like, where did I go wrong?
Mm.
I wasn't consistent with it.
Mm.
So now, especially when it comes to like cleaning his room, if he don't do something, I snatch a cord and he's cleaning right away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know.
let me show you my brilliance. That's been working like none other.
Yep. Take a shower. I'm coming outside the door. You got 20 minutes. Yep.
This right here, boy. I'm like, if there is anything that is not done, I made them sign it, date it.
She's a contract.
Daily, you gotta brush your
Contracts.
teeth
We
twice
try
a
to
day.
make- we try to make
I'm
it
going
break
down
these
this
Like, I need to prick your finger for blood.
Yes.
Put
day.
that blood.
I'm like, if I gotta tell you to put deodorant on twice, like I'm telling them,
Like
it is
you
in
would,
here. I'm
yes.
like, I'm checking this. Did you put deodorant on? Come here, let me smell you.
Mhm.
All right, you're good here. Take the trash. No trash on the floor. Like literally
Yeah.
everything that I bitch about
And
is
you
in
have
here.
to. You have to check it because
Yeah,
like, I'll ask
every
my son,
day.
I'm like, did you put on deodorant? And he's like, yeah. And then by the time I pick him up from school, I'm like,
No, you think you did.
I don't think
You
you
lied.
lied. Yeah, like you little right.
I
It's
caught
all
her.
right, it's
I
not
caught her
touching
the other day.
it.
She's like, "Did you take a shower?" He's like, "Yeah." She's like, "You're lying. You have the same clothes on." He's like, "Oh, I had to think about the question."
Yeah.
Like,
That is
No.
my
Yes,
son.
Mine are so little,
That is
and I'm
my
laughing
son.
at what you guys are saying because
Good
they're
luck.
little and they say the same thing.
I said
He's
good
like,
luck,
"Oh,
but
I
they're
had."
already
He
in
said, He said, "No, I meant to say. I was about to say." And I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Right.
You said.
Why'd you say it the first
But
time?
see, and
After
see,
he said it, I'm like,
Right.
Yep, and see, my son, he is a master manipulator. He's very sneaky. He's
yeah.
very quick with it. He can come up with a story
Ooh,
so
that's
good,
David. Oh,
so
yeah.
good that it makes you
That's
question
David.
yourself. Like,
mhm.
I don't think I remember hearing that before.
Right.
But did it happen though?
Right.
Mhm.
I'll make my way up the stairs and out the door, and then I'll stop. And I'll be like,
No.
damn, he got me again.
Like, and then you don't want to bring it up afterwards because then you
Right,
don't want to
'cause
look
it-
like stupid.
And then that's when ego comes.
Yeah.
That's when ego comes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make you think you had it. Like,
Yeah, but I knew what you was
Yeah.
doing. Like,
Right.
I was supposed to see how long you was gonna ride that wave.
Right.
I was on you though.
that's all day.
Late,
Oh,
but I was
yeah.
All
on you.
day.
Yeah,
It
that's
makes
my-
it truly makes
that's
you
my
think.
youngest.
Like what else did you get away with?
Yep.
Like
all the time.
So many. I can't think about it because then I'll be mad.
Yep.
And then you go home,
Yep, and then you
so-
go home, and then you're like, ooh, I want to say something, but I can't because it's been 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Just
Then
wait
you're
for
over here
you to do
searching for something else to like tag on with it.
Yep.
And also,
I forgot to tell you.
And it's hard not to personalize it too.
It's-
Like a lot
yeah.
of the stuff they do isn't personal, but we just feel
We
like
take it personal.
Right?
You really tried it.
Yeah.
I raised you better than that.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you
Respect.
think about it though, it's just like, you know, I did this with my parents, but dang, like I know they knew.
Right.
I know they knew,
Oh, right.
but they ain't gonna say
I tell my
so
son,
I'm
like,
gonna
you think
feel
I'm
like
stupid?
that.
No, he's like, no, I know you're not stupid.
right.
I just know how to manipulate.
Yeah, you know, to make it sound,
I've been
make
getting
it
away
sweet,
with
like ha ha ha, and then her son likes to put that joke on the end.
Yeah, no,
And then it's like,
Ain't nobody laughing right now.
And then
Just
it's like,
she's the one that'll laugh, and I'll be mad because I'm trying to
and I'm
be
like,
serious.
dude, like, nah, like, it's, I can't, like, you do too much. Like,
Right.
you always play too much. Quit playing.
How
too
old is
serious
yours?
on it.
13.
Oh, so they're both 13.
We have
Yeah.
3 teenage boys. We have 13, 13, and 14.
Oh,
yes.
And the 14-year-old, he's very quiet, but his mouth is extra.
Ooh, yeah.
Her son, he plays all day long. You
Shake
can't
off.
take him serious.
Mhm.
My son, he's got that I don't give a fuck attitude. You can say what you want to say, and I'm like, okay, and he gonna shut his door and go on.
He's
Yep.
still gonna do what he
Yeah,
wants
he's
to do.
still gonna do what he wants to do. But it's so funny though because it's us.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's our
But
reflection.
I call our kids, I say they have only child syndrome.
Yes, that
Because we only have one kid,
Yeah.
and they're spoiled.
yeah.
That's all
And
we
so
say.
they every only child
Oh,
gets
so you
away
both-
with so much.
Where's that 14-year-old from?
The girl that we were talking about that
Oh,
should have came,
yeah.
she stays downstairs,
Yeah.
and her son.
But she
is the
has
14-year-old.
2. She has an 8-year-old and a
Oh, okay.
14-year-old.
I was like, wait a minute, I'm not, there's 2 of you.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah.
but I knew something was
No,
off here.
She's got 2. We both have one, but literally we grew up together for
Mhm.
years.
Yeah.
You know, since we were kids, and then now our kids are growing up together in the same household, and it's just like. You want to knock them out sometimes,
Yeah.
but then you got to be
See?
like, but this is us. This is how we used
Yep.
to be. Like,
Right.
you have to think of what we should have said. or
God's
what
up
we
there
should
laughing
have
at y'all
done.
like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
y'all
Now we gotta
in
figure it
now.
out.
Y'all in it
Because now it's
now.
like, how do you redirect this when you didn't care back then?
Yep.
And now, so it's like, you can't do it. And it's like, you tell them all the time, like, I've been through this. I know what it is. Like, you gotta trust me. You gotta listen.
And then you
And it's
start
just
laughing
like-
at yourself because your parents told you
Yep.
the same
Yeah.
thing.
You told us the same
And
thing.
here I
And
am
it's
calling
like-
my dad.
Yeah,
like,
you know
you
what,
will
Mom?
not believe what your grandson did
And
today.
that's
And
why
what
I
I
said-
just said.
Right.
Yep, and that's why I said I apologize to my dad at least once a week. Like, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Like, I should have listened,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
do
just like,
that
now
too.
tell me what to do.
Right.
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
tell me
How did you
Your
do
parenting
this?
is not
How
done
did you
yet.
get? How did you get
Like, I
me
still
to
need you to help
really
me.
think about it? And,
Well,
and
really,
sometimes
it
like,
just it's experiences. They're
Yeah.
gonna have to go through those experiences, and I know as a parent,
Yeah.
you want to control every bit of it, but
but you
you
have to
teach
let them make
not
their own
to,
mistakes.
control them. And
Just
that's
gotta look
where you
for
have
That's
it.
to
the hard part.
And
Yeah.
if they don't mess up, how are they gonna learn?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Just
that's
like
how it
we
is.
messed up, and that's how we learn.
Trial
But
and error.
it's the after part,
Ain't
you
ready.
know, like don't just, you gotta
Like how many
let them
times you gonna mess up?
understand. Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Mess up, yeah.
it's like the same thing over and over again. But it's like eventually, until they truly experience it for themselves. Like for example, my son, he hated baseball, never wanted to play baseball. I always made him like, you gotta do it. You're not quitting.
Yeah.
Like it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
He's in his 6th year now, and everything's baseball.
Yeah.
It's all but it's truly what
He likes.
their decision. Yeah, it's their decision. Sometimes you can let them quit it out, but sometimes you kind of have to push them in that way.
Right.
Like, keep doing this,
Right.
and you'll see the change.
Right.
You'll see the difference, and stuff, and you'll see
So
that.
consistency.
It's
and
better if you
persistence.
keep your room clean. You won't have a mouse come through here.
Right.
You won't have, spiders or something.
Right.
Or it's better if you shower.
You wonder why you got
when need
pinky in the
to.
brain standing underneath your bed.
Or you want friends more. Maybe you shouldn't smell so great.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe a little deodorant on. But it's like it's those things. It's hard because kids don't. I mean, anybody. They don't think about it until they truly do it, and they're like, okay.
Or
maybe
somebody their peers
maybe
making
they
fun
had a
of.
point,
Right.
or something, or like, okay, now I'm gonna start doing it.
And
How
then here's
long
that
takes?
realization that they
Yeah,
have.
like how long that takes. I mean, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
You never know, but it's. I mean, I feel like that communication with your kids and stuff definitely will get through to that point at some point in time. And like I said, now me as an adult, I always tell my dad, like, you were right. I wish I would have listened to you. I might not be so broke all the time.
Right.
You know?
Right. Might have been a little bit better off. I listened to you
Right.
the first couple of times.
You know?
We can't control them, you know.
You can.
Some people just want to control their kids. Like, no, you can guide them.
And that's the thing, is guiding them,
And at some point, hopefully, those tools,
They'll pick
They'll
it up.
pick it up.
yeah. But
See, I got lucky with my son. He's 13, and he like literally, he just doesn't express. So that's where my issue is he won't talk to me, even if I'm like, just breathe. Like, he literally will have like a anxiety panic attack talking to me. I'm like, boy, what did I do? Like, what?
Right.
Like, God?
Right.
I put myself in the black room. Like, what the? Like, did I really traumatize him this bad? And so it's like I have to like tell him, like, I have to like really just be cool. I literally have to like take my energy and like literally put it in the ground and literally be like, you could feel me, son. I am not angry. I'm really just trying to help you do this homework. Like, I'm like dead serious. Like, I get you don't understand it, and I'm going to show you how to do it, but don't think I'm showing you how to do it because I'm angry. I get that you just don't understand. Just breathe, Zoe. Like, literally breathe. We are going to get through this. And then finally, like, calm down. I'm like, Jesus. Jesus, was I bad? Like, and so, like, yeah, I'm literally.
Because once they calm down too, they
they're
realize it wasn't
they're
that
hormonal
bad.
right now too. So you gotta think about that.
Oh my God.
They have hormones just like we do, and their hormones are everywhere.
Right, all deep voice. Boy, don't be talking to me. Punch you in the face.
I'd be like, is that a grown man?
Yeah.
That was like that. So I have a stepson. He'll be 16 in January. And yeah, he'll be like, "Hey, mom." I'm like, who's in my house?
That's my son when he's playing the game and his walls are so thin, and I'll be in the living room and I'll be like, "Who's
Right.
And I'm like, wait a minute, who's talking?"
My
And then
baby just set the alarm. Somebody's here.
and then he'll slip up and cuss every once in a while. I'm like, I'm like, wait a minute, where'd it come? Who are you talking to? He's like, that's me, and I'm like, stop. I'm like, don't say that. And I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. But his voice, he.
Do you have any unicorn?
No, I did not bring it. It's sitting on my altar. Yeah,
That's funny because you were like, should we give that away?
I need it. My bracelet just broke though. So.
It's like raw unicorn, raw stones of it. Would you want it like? Do you want just stone? Do you want it as a necklace?
As a necklace.
I can make a necklace for you, and I'll make it especially for you, and then we can just plan on when you'll grab it or whatever.
I'll be here on the 29th.
Perfect. Okay.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm like, what's on the 29th?
I'll be here by myself. Actually, it's not here, but
Yeah.
Do you want to wait that
What's
long?
on the 29th?
It's a couple weeks.
We're gonna be at your house.
Oh! I remember, like, did I not get you? Oh yeah, that's
Yeah, we're gonna be at the bonfire.
That's right.
If y'all want to go to that
My
too,
bad.
so
My bad.
we're having a bonfire where we're gonna release our shadows, right? That's what we said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just we're gonna have I can't say it, chachuri board.